PlayStation Drive is starting. While you wait, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon on YouTube to be notified of future goodness. If you enjoy our show, we'd love it if you gave us a 5-star review or rating on your podcast service of choice. To continue the conversation, join the Carpool Gaming Discord, where you can find a wholesome community to have a chit chat with. For some exclusive content, you can also support us on Patreon. And finally, don't forget to check out the Carpool Gaming website for an awesome range of merch. Links to all that and more are in the show notes, but without further ado, let's get revved up for the PlayStation Drive. Whoa!
What's up, everybody? Welcome on in to the PlayStation Drive, episode 141. Yes, that's palindrome, folks. Of course, I'm Ryan. Of course, I am joined once again, as always, by Ron, Fully, and Matt. How's everyone doing tonight?
Doing good.
Doing good. Everyone okay with the time change so far, especially Fulia, who has a different recording time all of a sudden.
Yep. It is now 1:35 p.m. instead of 2:30 p.m.
Yeah, it's not the same. Same. But you'll change eventually, though, right? Like in a month and a half or something.
So we changed on I think it was the 7th of April.
Oh,
actually, so in a few weeks. Yeah.
Why?
Which means that I'll be back an hour. So then the changes to 12:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Savings Time.
That's too much. How do you even keep track of all that stuff? It's so weird. But I think the UK is the same way too. Like they change on the same date as y'all do, which is just so weird to me.
Yes, Sean, I am Australian.
I know. This is very shocking. I can't believe this is brand new information. As Phoebe,
you heard it here first, folks.
Yes. From the hit show Friends, which could be found on the hit PS2 game Friends, the one with all the trivia. See, it all comes back to that. Yep. Anyways, we should probably do a little bit of housekeeping. Well, actually, it's very little housekeeping because we got, of course, brand new patrons over at patreon.com/carpool gaming. We got Robby Bobby Miller, who hopped back in to the platinum tier, joining that platinum tier. He is now the sole owner of the platinum tier. He also likes lists a whole lot. So shout out to Robby Bobby Miller for continuing to be a supporter of all things Carpool Gaming and for being just an awesome individual as well. And also,
of course, the platinum trophy being on this PlayStation Drive is awesome. So.
Yeah, exactly. The platinum producer for the platinum show. In fact, it was literally like maybe an hour before the show went live that he rejoined the Patreon. So it was meant to be.
Yes.
It's meant to be. So shout out to Robby Bobby Miller for joining the Patreon. And also a huge shout out to all of our other patrons over at patreon.com/carpool gaming. We've got, of course, all kinds of cool content over there, like the Pants Patreon podcast for patrons podcast. Of course, my episode was this week. I talked about all kinds of stuff. And then the Lockleth, her episode is coming up this week. So check that out on the old Patreon. But without further ado, let's grab our 8-tracks, pop them in. It's time for the playlist. It's time to talk about all the games we played this week, because I'm looking at the sheet here, y'all, and I'm seeing a lot of games here, which gets me excited. I love talking about games. So, Ron, you probably have the biggest list here. So tell me about the games you played, man.
All right. So I did something a little different this time around. The wheel chose Oxenfree 2. And before I started it, I started thinking about the first one. I had beat it, but I was a few trophies away from getting the platinum. So I started thinking about several other games that I was close to getting the platinum on that had, I wrote credits on them, but I guess either I was ready to get to the next game or something else that came up. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back and do some of those. So the first one I had started with was Walking Dead Final Season. It was just an okay game to me, but still, I was like 4 or 5 trophies from the platinum on that. Went ahead, went into some of the acts, did what I need to do, got the plat on that. Then after that, it was Middle Earth Shadow of War. That one was about, I think I had 6 or 7 trophies on that one. Went ahead, did what I had to do, knocked that one out. That one was probably a lot quicker than Walking Dead Final Season, actually.
That kind of surprised me because I assumed the trophies you had left were a lot of like the late game, like end game trophies for that game.
Yeah.
Because that game, for folks that haven't played Shadow of War, once you roll the credit, there's this big whole end game thing that you have to do where you're like taking over different parts of Middle Earth, and it just like it was longer than the actual game was to get.
Yeah, I did that part. That's the crazy thing about it. That's why I was just like, why did I finish this? But I think I was just burned out on that one, and I think that's why I went ahead and just said, yeah, I'm done with this one. I rolled credits twice. And I was like, I was good. But I went ahead and knocked that one out. And then Cypher Primus actually convinced me to go and do Watch Dogs 2. I don't usually do multiplayer trophies. I was surprised that the multiplayer was even still active. But I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and jump in here and knock these out real quick because that's all I had left for those. And I got it done. So now it's Wolf Among Us. That'll be the next one up. Yes, Matt. Yes.
Hi, Nagachaka from the press pool. First time. Question for His Royal Bareness.
Oh boy.
I have to ask. The 3 platinums, congratulations. I'll hail His Royal Bareness. Can I ask, did the wheel pick these games for you to platinum now, or did you pick them yourself to go back and platinum?
I went back and did all these myself. The wheel had nothing to do with these.
So follow-up question. I have to ask. What's the best way to pick the next game you're going to play, and why is it picking them yourself?
Not going to happen. It was not platinum cleanup. It's not going to happen. Nice try, though.
I don't know. I think you've. What's your count for platinums this year, Ron?
Let's see here. Ragnarok, Watch Dogs 2, Middle Earth. I think I'm at 4. It'll probably be 5 by tomorrow.
Okay, then.
All right, I will just hand over my crown to you.
No.
Royal Bareness.
I was just going to say,
Platinum King.
You're going to pass her. Like you are now officially dubbed. We are all officially dubbing you in this moment. In fact, I'm going to make this official here by doing this on the stream here. We are going to do the thing. We are officially dubbing you His Royal Bareness, the Platinum King.
You can't.
It's official.
I haven't passed Koala. You can't do that yet.
No,
look, when it's tied, you might as well.
Oh goodness!
Oh my god! And now I'm clicking through Melon because it's a whole thing. But
oh Lord!
It's official. Yeah, that's your new title. This is officially happening. Please be excited.
Congratulations!
Now Ron has now officially taken the title.
Oh boy!
She'll get it back.
She'll get it back.
I don't know about that.
I wonder.
You'll get to it.
You keep telling her to go back to Spiritfarer, and that sounds like it's going to take forever to do that.
Hey,
so,
I don't think so. I think she has a chance. I thought the online quest for Shadow of War was going to take all day. I knocked these out in no time. Get on Spiritfarer, let the RNG just get you in there.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm just never going to pass you because I feel like I don't need to earn any more platinum trophies until I eventually steel myself to eventually go for the Final Fantasy 14 platinum, which will only take me another 1,000 hours of gameplay to get. So,
oh my gosh,
yeah, but that's just not doing normal activities in Final Fantasy 14. I'd have to specifically do 1,000 hours of specific activities outside of my normal rotation of stuff in order to get it. So, there you go.
No way.
So then Oxenfree 2 is the next game. The wheels picked it. It's done.
Yeah, that's the next official game. Once I get done with Wolf Among Us and the Oxenfree plat, then I'll get back to that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that's what we can look forward to next week. Which is
should.
Yeah, unless we find more platinums to throw your way.
I think that's going to
even further cement your lead over everyone else.
Yeah.
No.
It must be hard treading water in all those platinum trophies that you're drowning
in. God.
you know, Ron, there was a new Sakura game that came out this week. Of course, the Sakura series on the PlayStation is like a series of visual novel games that, is a very easy platinum, but they give you the PS4 and PS5 versions. So you can platinum both in about 20 minutes.
No, I'm good. No.
All right. Get it. That please save us with what you've been playing then.
Still continuing with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Enjoying it quite a bit. I think I'm at chapter 4, around 16, 17 hours. Really, really enjoying it. But I'm so excited for this game. I just started today. So yours truly finally got to pick the Backtrackers game. So the next one we're playing is Thirsty Suitors. And it is a you get there's it's a mashup of different things. There's skateboarding, I believe there's cooking, but the reason why I picked it is because it's about confronting your ex-lovers while also dealing with gossip from your aunties and your parents nagging you. And it's just a wild game. So I did start it tonight. I think people here at the PlayStation Drive will like it. There's RPG mechanics. So when you are
Right.
either flirting with your ex-boyfriends or pushing them away, you do it through turn-based combat. So far, all I can do is just smack them away, but I think later I can unlock them with some taunts, maybe give some gifts. I'm not sure yet, but I am loving it. The writing is very cheeky. It's all about being thirsty.
Yeah.
In
It's in the
hence
title.
the title.
Yep,
Yeah.
in the title.
Yeah, it's very on the nose. So I highly recommend it. It is on Game Pass, but it's also on all the other platforms: Nintendo Switch, PlayStation. But I do want to make a confession. So
Oh.
there's BS. I know that I've said in the past that I feel like I need to give my PlayStation gamer card away because I feel like I haven't earned it. Some people have asked for it as well, but this week I actually believe it. I actually don't think I'm worthy to have it. So, hanging out with Ryan Fulia and Ron, we've been talking about our favorite PlayStation 1 games, favorite PlayStation 2 games. So I've been looking. I've been looking for ways to play Dragon Guard, which is only on the PlayStation 2. So I started asking myself if I'm going to buy PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1. I said, that's just too many consoles that will not fit on Team Horizontal on my unit. So I started looking for an OG PS3 that can play all of them. It's been a little bit hard, but through this rabbit hole of going on eBay and Facebook and the internet, it's only this week that I learned that all PlayStation 3s can play PS1 games.
That is correct. That has always been a thing. So which is
I know-
awesome. But it plays it through emulation. But yes, it can play them.
But I only knew that now.
Oh.
And
But
I
I've
feel
talked
like
about
such
this on
a
RPG
buffoon.
Cave like 8 billion times whenever we talk about a PS1 game, because a lot of times, Matt, like I will go ahead and play, like if I play a PS1 game, I don't always pull out the PS1 or PS2. Sometimes I just play the PS3 because it's a HDMI. I've got a wireless controller and it just plays like that. Like I think it's one of the best ways to play PS1 games. The only downside, though, if you're going to capture footage or stream, the console has HDCP on it, and there's no, like you can't turn it off on the console, meaning that you can't capture footage or stream from it unless you know the roundabout way of basically breaking HDCP essentially. Which is
Wow.
annoying.
Okay. All right. That's something that I
So
need to look in.
I am quite ashamed as a PlayStation fan that I only learned about this week. And again, I have to air out all of my skeletons. So I promised that I'm not going to buy new expensive games in 2024. I've been very tempted to buy some PlayStation 1 games.
Mhm.
And these PlayStation 1 games are quite expensive. Like
Yeah.
Resident Evil 3 goes for like $90. And I was genuinely looking. So I did get to meet up with Jan32 and Court Lalonde, who we went to Toronto Comic Con. And I was actively looking
Yeah.
at PS1 games. And Jan32 is such a kind soul. He's very supportive, but even he was like, why are you looking at these games when you like, because I already own them digitally. I own Resident Evil on my GameCube. And I had to explain, like, I'm insane. I don't know. I didn't buy anything.
Yeah.
I didn't buy anything, but I was very close. So I'm ashamed for looking, and I'm ashamed I only learned my PS3 is backwards compatible with PS1. Very
Yeah.
sorry.
I will say that also that, Drakengard, is one of those games you can't get digitally. You have to get physically, and it's only on the PlayStation 2. So it's like, if you want to play that game, that's the only option. Like I ran into that problem all the time. Like I was playing Clock Tower 3 earlier this year because I really wanted to play it. It's only on the PlayStation 2. It didn't come to other platforms. And it's not available digitally anywhere. So you just kind of have to, roll with the punches there. Hello, Ron from the press pool.
Hello, Matt, friend, brother. Have you looked in the nearest trash can for Dragon Guard copies?
I have not. It doesn't belong in the trash can, so it wouldn't even be in there, friend.
Are you sure?
It wouldn't
I'm
be in
pretty
there.
sure the nearest landfill has several copies.
No, it's on a pedestal where it belongs with Nier Automata.
Good.
But thank you, Ron, for the question.
Just trying to help. Just trying to help. That's all.
Also, do I need to make a list for you as well, like I have for Sean?
No.
Are you
I
sure?
like Jan32 said in the chat, I was the master of my domain. I did not buy copies of Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil 1 on the PS1 for $90. Even because I already owned them digitally
Yeah.
and I owned them on the GameCube. So I stayed strong. I did it.
This time.
I was gonna say I saw Fulia break out the notebook, and I felt like
Mhm.
amendments to the list were coming.
Ron's right. Yeah, this time I was the master of my domain. I don't know
Yeah.
about next week.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Well, it's time to see. I'm excited to see who breaks first, you or Sean, and it might be you from the
It's gonna be
sense
me.
Might be
sense I'm
me.
getting.
Now that
Yeah.
I've discovered what my PS3 can do.
Yeah. He's just like, oh my god, I could have been playing, Parasite Eve 2 on this the whole time. What was I thinking?
Truly. What was I thinking?
Yeah, that's a fine game, Ron. Get out of here with that head shaking.
Thank
That's
you.
fine. The next time you
Thank
talk
you.
about some game you like, I'm just going to call it Cheeks. And that's just how
You
it's going to roll.
Can't. we all can be wrong sometimes. It's fine.
Yeah, sometimes you can be wrong. Anyways, Fulia, tell me about
Yes.
what you played.
So I've been continuing my little journey through Aiden Chronicle Rising. I'm really having fun with it. I believe I am about halfway through the story progression. And yeah, I'm just loving how chill it is. Just the fact that I could just jump in wherever I want, just do the quests, and then continue the story wherever I want to. Save whenever I need to, and it's so good. I really love it, and I'm just really enjoying where the story goes, and the characters are really cool too. So I'm really enjoying that.
Nice. Also, quick shout out before you move on. I saw a lot of reviewers actually posting early reviews of 100 Heroes this week, like the sequel. Because that's coming like next month. Like we're basically a month away from that too. So like you're playing this at the right time, Fulia, because it's like you're just gonna get the next chapter in it kind of like right away when you're finished.
It sounded like she's already in for 100 Heroes, which is good.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm all in for that. Yeah.
No, I read some preview coverage and saw some streams for it, and like a lot of people are saying that game's rad. So I'm expecting good things.
Okay. All right. Good. Then I will have coverage hopefully for that. And the other game that I've been playing, so haven't been playing too many games this week. I started God of War 2018.
Let's go.
It's so tough.
Even harder than
You're doing
Yoshi?
well.
Oh, 10 times harder than Yoshi. Yoshi's Crafted World is the best, the most easiest thing to play through. God of War is on another level.
God of War is fine. God of War is fine.
You've been doing well. Yeah, you've been doing well. You're kicking butt in that game.
Oh, my anxiety is like up here when I play that game.
Yeah.
I'm just
Personally,
like
I've been
trying to
loving
get
the
through these
streams. The Koala Rage has been great. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've been raging a bit. I have been.
It's been great. I've loved it.
So yeah, I think I'm at the point where I think what's her name? Freya? We met Freya?
Freya, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she's shown us the portal to the next area that we need to go to.
Okay.
Where the world snake is, essentially.
Okay. You're gonna go throw your axe in the lake and he's gonna come out and say hello.
Yeah. Oh, we've done that.
Okay.
Now we've sort of gone beyond that point where she's actually opened up the portal to the next realm.
Okay.
Essentially.
Nice.
So that's as far as I've gotten so far.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah.
Fulia, would you like to discuss your troubled relationship with Atreus, the child?
No comment.
Who has trouble with Atreus? No, you can't say no comment. You need to tell the internet. What's your problem?
The internet already knows.
No, but you know what? People at Carpool Gaming might not know, Fulia.
That's true. I think you should discuss it.
Yeah.
That was half the fun on their first stream.
No.
Tell us more.
Oh my gosh. Look, because this happened on stream. The chat was acting up, okay? I'm going to blame chat for this. So it wasn't my fault. I was I was in the moment. I was genuinely in the moment. I was listening to the story. I was watching it play through in the cutscenes. And this is a safe space. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know how much safer it's going to be once I say this. So this is literally the beginning of the story. And they've gone to put them, you know, the mother, she's being cremated. And I think her knife was also on there as well, like the little dagger. As the flames came up, everything was obviously getting very hot, but Atreus decided that he needed to get that knife for himself. And he held on to it for a little bit longer than necessary and then let go, obviously, because of the heat, and it burned his hand. And I get it. Yes, it's like it's supposed to be really sad and sort of an emotional moment. But just for me, just in that moment, and it came out very naturally. I'm just like, oh, what a stupid boy. Why wouldn't you let go of the knife the moment you felt the heat? Like, who does that? My logical brain just kicked in.
While he's grieving for his mother. Yep.
Yeah.
We
put her up in the chat.
Maybe there's a story related reason why he does that. I don't know.
And then as soon as I said that, the chat all went off. They were like, wow, Foya, this is an emotional moment. And you go and slander the kid who's mourning for his mum. I didn't mean it to come out in that way. It was just a logical thing that my brain said. Hot knife, you feel the heat, you let go. You don't hold on to it for another 30 seconds.
What she's not telling everybody is that the abuse of Atreus continued throughout the whole stream.
Oh, shut up.
Look, she's just learning from Kratos, like learning the parenting style from Kratos. Okay,
my inner Kratos was coming in.
I mean, Floyd, you can just say the next time someone accuses that you be like, "I learned it from watching you."
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's
True.
That's what happens. So if you wanna, enjoy more of my rage and my logical stupidity, you can come and watch me on my streams.
Nice.
So good.
I mean, there we go. We finally found the game that's harder than Yoshi's Crafted World. It's official. We put it in the books. You'll look it up in the difficulty dictionary. It's like Yoshi's Crafted World, God of War 2018, and like the hardest games of all time. So, good God. I feel like we need to. The three of us need to hop on and find our own rage-inducing games and then play them on stream. So,
yes,
what's the games that induce the most rage for us? I wonder what those would be.
I feel like for you, Ryan, it might be Pirates.
No, because I just dislike Pirates. That just makes me not want to play it. But like, I mean, a game that I know enrages me a little bit is Ninja Gaiden 3: The Ancient Ship of Doom on the NES. Because that game, in the North American version, not only did they make the game harder than the Japanese version, which is already a game that was harder than the other Ninja Gaiden games on the NES, but they only give you 3 lives instead of unlimited continues like the other games. And it's one of the most difficult games I've ever played in my entire life. It's ridiculous. It's so hard. But yeah, Seth makes a good point. What makes Ryan rage? It's a good point. I don't really rage that often, but who knows? Although actually, I'm like, picture in my head, I don't think I've ever seen Matt rage either at anything. Like, does Matt get upset or rage?
Any game with a bad map, I'll rage. Like, what was that Star Wars game? Jedi
Survivor?
Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay.
Jedi Fallen Order, I raged. Because that map, no.
It was garbage. It was.
Like Ron would say, that's cheeks. So
I thought for a second there you were going to say that you raged it at the platforming sections where you're like rolling down the hill, but you you miss like the jumps all the time because it's like really poorly programmed. But
I wouldn't like that. But no, again, the map I did not like. Yon 32, Wizard with a gun. Any Souls-like games that they'll make me rage because like I usually play for like an hour. So if I'm playing a game, I've spent 40 minutes getting somewhere, I die and I lose my progress. It's like, well, there goes my whole night. What have I done? And then I won't play that game anymore. Like those, yeah, Souls-like games will make me rage pretty hard.
Okay, nice. Does any games make you rage? I'm curious now.
I'm about to say Elden Ring. When I first started that, it took quite some convincing from my friend Curtis to get me to go back to that game, because I ran into that first boss and that boss wiped the floor with me probably like 40 times, and I finally was just like, F this, I'm not playing this. And I uninstalled it, and I was ready to move on. Yeah. But he talked to me and was like, just keep at it and just get through it. And he was right. I did. I got back in there, stayed patient this time, and I got through it. But there were several moments in Elden Ring where I was just kind of like, this is some bullshit.
Yeah, makes sense.
I can agree with Riley about Cuphead, yes.
Yeah, nice. That's a good one too. I will say this one that I'm about to mention made me rage, not because of the game's difficulty, but of a specific bug in the game that made me rage more than any other video game moment, where it was Assassin's Creed 2. For those that don't know, on the Xbox 360, I played the game. I got to the very last mission in the game. I almost beat the game. I made sure everything was saved properly and my console was powered off before I went to go on like an 18-hour music video shoot. Came back to my console because I was like, all right, I'm ready to finish Assassin's Creed 2. I boot up the game and all my saves are gone.
No.
And I just was like so angry. Like that might have been probably the most angry I've been in a video game in my entire life, where I was just, all right, I beat the game. I'm just going to go on YouTube and watch the ending at this point, because I'm not playing the whole game over again just to actually see the ending in the game itself, which was the worst. So
yeah, that would suck.
Right.
Yeah. Because like we've had that happen with like review copies before from time to time, whereas like sometimes we've like run into like game breaking bugs in certain games we've reviewed on the channel before, but like this was a game that had been out for months and months and months. It had been patched a billion times. So I'm very surprised. Like that's the only time I've really seen that in like a retail game. Whereas review copies, obviously you sometimes have that happen, and there's not much you can do about it. But anyways, moving back, getting the show back on the rails here. Rounding things out, I did play a couple games this week. One, I broke my oath already. I was like, man, I really want to take a break from Final Fantasy 14. And then Bowser and Fee were mischievous and convinced me to go back and play it again. And it made me really sad because I played it a whole bunch this week, because I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to go take down Golbez, who is of course the final boss in Final Fantasy 4, but is also a big boss in the Endwalker expansion. I played through, kind of like burned through the rest of the story that was left. So now I'm officially all caught up. And I got some more relic weapons. I did some more Unreal Trials. And I had a fun time playing Final Fantasy 14 again.
Those Xbox ladies, they know how to get you.
I mean, to be fair, the Xbox version's coming out this week on Thursday, which is exciting. So we're gonna have some more sprouts come into the game. Of course, sprouts is the term we refer to anyone who's brand new to the game, who has like a little sprout icon on their name card until they get to the end of Endwalker, because that's when that disappears. And it's like, okay, you've made it to the current content. You're a new you're not a new player anymore. So yeah. Riley, you put it best in the chat. Yeah, he just kind of came and went. That's just kind of how that works. I'm very flaky like that. But I did play another game this week. The game I did promise everyone I was going to play, because of course I did, because Unicorn Overlord came out this week. So I played Unicorn Overlord a lot this week. I'm like 20 hours in. I love this game. I loved Unicorn Overlord. I mean, this is like one of the most like well, duh kind of moments of all time, where it's like, well, of course Ryan's gonna like Unicorn Overlord. He's already been raving about it for like 5 months now. Like I love the deep level of strategy in this game. I know a lot of people didn't love the idea of the battles kind of being automatic, and I don't like the fact that like you can't have your units target specific enemies if they're fighting like multiple enemies. But I really love like the deep strategy elements that go into this, especially with just like, it's more complex than the weapon triangle that you have in something like Fire Emblem, because it's more about matching different units against different units. And the balance of the strategy that comes along with that. But then also making sure that your troop formations are set up correctly. Like I love all the elements of Unicorn Overlord. It's still a beautifully gorgeous, hand-drawn game, which of course Vanillaware has always been known for, and this game's no different. It's honestly one of the prettiest games on the PlayStation 5, and it's one of the best strategy role-playing games I've played in a very long time. Of course, I'm not at the end of the game yet. I'm probably at halfway through, because the map for this game is huge, as was evident in the demo that we learned that. Like, the demo, in the 8 hours you play, you usually only uncover like 5% of the map or something like that. So the full game's map is very large. If you want to do all the side quests and stuff, it's going to be very, very long. Like, it's probably going to be like 80 hours to finish everything. But I love Unicorn Overlord. It's been a great experience so far. Not too difficult. Like, it's definitely on the easier side, I think, which I think is a good thing for people who are also new to the genre. Like, I do think that this is a good entry point for people that are newer to strategy role-playing games, as we kind of learned with both Fulia and Lockleth as well, both trying it out and really enjoying it as well. So this is definitely like high on my recommendation list of people like strategy role-playing games. Like, I think it's a slam dunk, just like all of Vanillaware's games. So there's that. But then I also posted on Twitter, I haven't played this game yet, but I got myself an early birthday present because it's my birthday on Thursday, y'all. And I got myself this game. This little Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth
there it is.
Deluxe Edition. I was just originally I was just gonna buy it digitally, but then I was like, oh well, the physical version is cheaper than the digital version, so maybe I'll go physical. But then I saw the Deluxe Edition just pop up on Amazon the other day. Shout out to Xenobabes, who of course is kind of like the Canadian version of Warrior 64, who always posts whenever stuff comes back in stock. And this just popped back into stock just randomly when I was looking. So I was like, all right, I'm all in. So I've got it installed on my console. It's ready, Matt, for whenever I finish Unicorn Overlord. So it's next on the docket. Although Rise of the Ronin does come out on Friday, and I also do have that pre-installed as well. So maybe I do Rise of the Ronin first, since you're still playing Final Fantasy.
Yes, please.
Loop around. Now, Ron, you're gonna have to deal with me talking about it at some point. Like, that's just gonna be a thing.
I think I can handle separate of you guys doing it, both at the same time talking about it. I was like, no, please, God, no.
Please, Matt's talking about the idea of going for the platinum. But he's still gonna be playing that game by the time I finish both those games.
He probably. I was gonna
say Ryan will finish before I do. Somehow we'll get Fulia to try out the demo, so then all three of us can talk about it at the same time.
Yeah.
Well,
and then you'll join us.
Please don't do this to me. Please don't.
I'm not going to have any clue what's going on if I try that demo.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
Even if you play the first game, you're still not going to know what's going on. It's fine.
I was going to say, like, Matt and I both know, like, you shouldn't start with Rebirth. That's not the way to start that series. Like, I'm sorry. It just isn't. Which also, like, was funny because I was on I was on the Communication Error podcast this week. And I was talking to the guys over there. Shout out to Cheesy and John Mebo, by the way, who were the host of that show. And we were talking about 7 Rebirth, and like they were talking about how they were ready to buy the game really soon, but they hadn't played Remake. And I'm just like, why? You got to start with a Remake first. And they're like, but everyone keeps telling me I can start with Rebirth. And I'm like, no. That's like starting with Mass Effect 3. It's just, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no.
Like, that's the worst way to do it. Unless you don't care about the story and you're just in it for the gameplay, I guess, for some reason. But because that's been a whole thing. I've been seeing a lot of people talking about. But also shout out to Kevin Ainsworth, because Kevin Ainsworth already finished Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. It's over. He finished in like 35 hours.
What the hell?
I cannot understand it. I'm almost at 20 hours, chapter 4, beginning of chapter 4. And I think there's like 14 chapters. It blew my mind. But you know what? Kevin Ainsworth is the wizard.
It shouldn't surprise you anymore, Kevin. That's how Kevin gets down.
Anymore.
Yeah, it really should.
To be fair, he did warn us already that he was going to skip most of the side content. So I think that plays into it a little bit. But yeah, exactly. But anyways, let's move on to our topic of the week. Again, one of these days I need to get like a cool like video transition for that or something like that made with like like all epic with like laser light show stuff and like neon lights and stuff.
No. I like it this way.
I like this better.
Excellent. Well, thank you, friends. I'm glad you like it. We are going to talk about our favorite games of all time because, you know, this is the type of thing that I usually like to do whenever we bring new people onto shows or whenever I join a show for the first time, because this kind of gives context and perspective into the types of games that we as a group enjoy playing. And so then you guys get to know us a little bit better, and kind of figure out what our gaming tastes are. Obviously you get to see a little bit of that from what we're playing. But it's always fun to also just talk about our favorite games of all time. So we're just going to do that on this week's show, because there's not a lot of PlayStation news. The PlayStation 5 Pro is out there, whatever, YOLO. We don't care about that. We're going to talk about our favorite games of all time instead. So I think we're going to do, for the sake of time, we're going to do top 5, our 5 favorite games of all time. They're not PlayStation related. They don't have to be. It's just whatever our 5 favorite games of all time. I'm waiting for someone to say Pepsi Man, because that's got to be one of these answers, of course. But let's get into it, and I feel like we can kind of go around the horn a little bit and talk about this. So we're not going to do like us talking about like our full list here. We'll start with Ron. I want you to give me your 5th favorite game of all time and why you like it.
We'll start with the first Mass Effect.
Okay.
I'm a sci-fi junkie. I love BioWare. So that just was just a given that I was probably going to enjoy that game. But the story was great. The gameplay was a little rough, but it was serviceable. But the characters, Saren was a great villain. Good side missions. Just, man, from beginning to end, that game was just fantastic. That was one of those games where I finished it and I didn't know what to really play next, because I spent so much time in that, and I was just like, what a fantastic game. And I just watched the credits and I kind of just sat there for a while, just absorbing it in. So yeah, that's always gonna probably be one of my favorites of all time.
Nice. Yeah, shout out to Mass Effect 1. That game's awesome. But Matt from the Press Pool has a question.
You have to tell everybody, Rod, who did you romance in Mass Effect 1?
Okay, so I wanted it to be Tally, but of course you couldn't romance her in the first one. So Liara, of course, was the chosen one.
Good choice. Excellent choice.
Well, I mean, in that game you really only had 2 options if you were male Shep. You had, that or Ashley, and that was basically it. So
yeah, I left Ashley on the planet to die, so that wasn't happening.
What?
Yeah,
you're a monster.
Wow, that is harsh.
Remind me not to be on your bad side.
Yeah.
Wow. There was reasons.
But leave her to die too, eh? Jeez.
Yeah. Good
okay.
God.
Wow.
Good God. Yeah, I love Mass Effect 1. That's a great pick. Like that's a game. Funny enough, I've also played like 20 times because I've played it so many times. Like, first of all, I have the 1000 gamer score and the platinum trophy for Mass Effect 1, because of the fact that it's and to get that, it's like you have to replay it like 7 times basically to get it, because that's the only way to get your character to max level. Essentially, is basically doing it over multiple playthroughs. So that's why I've played it so many times. But I love Mass Effect 1. It's also incredible. And Saren, shout out to Saren. He's like one of the best villains in gaming.
Great villain.
Yeah, but yeah, Matt, what's your number 5?
Number 5 is going to be a little indie game called Night in the Woods. We played it for the Backtrackers a few years ago. It's a beautiful story. It's not much gameplay. It's mostly like it's more of like a visual novel with very light platforming mechanics. I think what I really loved about it was just the writing. Yeah, there's no voice acting in it, but the fact that just reading the dialogue, you can feel like the characters are fully fleshed out, and that to me is like a huge accomplishment from a writing perspective, because you usually have to rely on voice acting to kind of give personality to it, but they were able to do that with the writing, and it just really resonated with me. Like, it's about finding yourself, going back to your childhood friends, and there's a few parts that I really enjoyed. One part was there's this mini game where you play, it's like kind of like Guitar Hero, like you're doing band practice. So it actually pulls up like a little Guitar Hero screen and you're playing the guitar. And it just reminded me of like simpler times in my 20s when I would just go to my friend's house on Friday nights. Instead of going to a bar, I'm at his house and we're just rocking out on Guitar Hero till 3 a.m. So it just really reminded good memories of that. But there's a lot of beautiful lines in the story about how to persevere when things get really tough, finding yourself. And it's just a very witty game. Greg is the friend that we don't deserve, but we all need in our lives. So if you play that game, you know what I'm talking about. Like, Greg is just a beautiful person. Just absolutely adore that game. Love Night in the Woods for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I have not played that game, but I know people love it. I know Seth, of course, was freaked out in the chat as the second you said that.
Yeah,
I know
it's
it's
a
one of
very
his
good game.
all-timers. Yeah. Nice. All right, Fulia, you're number 5.
Okay, this is gonna be a really weird one for a lot of people, but my number 5 is a humongous game called Spy Fox in Dry Cereal.
What?
What is that?
Who?
Tell me more. Okay.
So,
Is this a Kojima game? What is this?
No. This is a kids game. A very
Tell us
kids
more.
game.
Tell us more.
It's on PC. It's you're essentially playing a Bond version. It's like a James Bond game, but you're a fox, and you go to this Greek island of Acidophilus, and you have to figure out what's going on because apparently there's no milk. Well, no cow milk, and apparently they're trying to replace it with goat's milk. And so it's like you just gotta figure out this mystery, and it's so much fun. And then there's like a mini game where it's like you get to play Go Fish, and you get to win trinkets in the game as well. It's really fun, and I've played it through a couple of times. Like when I first played it through as a child, I ended up, I think for me it felt like it was taking forever because I had no idea what to do and stuff like that. But then I played it again as an adult on stream, and it was only a one session playthrough. It only took me 90 minutes.
Well, it's because you got that big brain now, Fulia. You're smart.
Yeah.
You're very smart.
Yeah, and every time you go to play through it from the beginning, it actually gives you different different clues and ways to figure it out and stuff like that. So it's not the same the whole way through every time you play it. They change it up when you go back to play it again. So it's really fun. I really enjoy it. So that's kind of my number 5.
Wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Seth brings up the fact that it sounds like it's very similar to like Freddy Fish or Putt
Yes.
Putt. Some of
Yes.
those.
It's part of that whole umbrella, the humongous games.
I'm kind of surprised that it hasn't come to. They haven't done like a remaster for PlayStation, because I know that they did a bunch of those for, a bunch of those got re-releases on PlayStation, like Freddy Fish and Putt Putt both did.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Like you get the platinum trophy for Freddy Fish.
I need it.
It's Extra Life. We can play together. Like, I need to see what this thing is.
Yes.
Done.
I will
Add it to the
definitely
list.
have that available for you.
Nice.
Awesome.
Here we go. We're adding to the list. We got that. We got Pepsi Man. We got Plumbers Don't Wear Ties. We got Desert Bus. Crazy Bus. Like, what else do we need at this point? We gotta let Ron's just shaking his head, but these are all games he's gonna enjoy. So,
It's a good
especially
playlist.
Pepsi Man.
Oh man.
Anyways, my number 5 is a little game I played on the original Xbox. So not a PlayStation game, but it was a game that eventually came over to the PlayStation 3 at the launch of the PlayStation 3. And that game is Ninja Gaiden Black for the original Xbox. It did come to PlayStation in the form of Ninja Gaiden Sigma, but that version's just not as good. They let you play as Rachel, which is cool, but it's not as good. But Ninja Gaiden Black for me is one of those games that, people always talk about their love for Soulsborne games, like Dark Souls or Elden Ring. And they love kind of the difficult boss encounters and the creative enemy design and the cool landscapes and stuff like that. And I got all that in Ninja Gaiden, but what sets Ninja Gaiden apart from those games is just the really fast action combat that also combines a lot of those Soulsborne elements before those games even came out. Like the boss encounters in that game are very similar to something you'd see in Dark Souls, where the bosses have multiple phases, depending on how far along you've depleted their life bar, and they're really inventive and cool. Like sometimes, like you have to fight these. Like there was one point where you go into this cave and you're fighting these two worms that are like electric worms, and then as you're cutting them down, like more of them appear. But then as more of them appear, they have different mechanics that you have to watch out for. And they came up with like some really interesting boss fights in that game. Combined with the fact that it's got like a really like fun ninja story about Ryu Hayabusa, since it is kind of a reboot of the NES Ninja Gaiden games, which of course appeals to me as someone who really enjoyed those games on the NES. So that for me is one of the best action games ever made, Ninja Gaiden Black. And it's too bad that the only version that we currently have on PlayStation is the Sigma version, because that one's just not as good. Whereas it is backwards compatible on Series X if people want to go check it out there. But I love that game. I did a whole episode about it on the Crossroads, which was our original Xbox show over on the Xbox Drive. So definitely go and check it out. But yeah, I love Ninja Gaiden, especially like the whole series, but especially Ninja Gaiden Black in particular. That game's awesome. So there you go. That's my number 5. But number 4, Ron, I need your number 4 from you, man.
It's going to be God of War Ragnarok. I know I talked about it recently, but nothing has changed about that one. That one still, it took 2018 slot. Like I said, it was bigger, better, more enemies, better bosses. Just the storytelling was all around. Like I said, left some cliffhangers still toward the end. I would have liked to have a bit more cleanup on, but I don't really have too many complaints about it at all. The combat was better than it was in the first one. They just really focused on making it a better game. Like I said, really no complaints about that one. Some of the fights, I think, with the bosses were a bit easier than 2018. The Valkyries were much harder than the Berserkers were, in my opinion. But yeah, Ragnarok is my number 4.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I felt like that was probably going to be in your top 5 after the way you talked about it over the last couple of weeks. So yeah, no surprise to see that here. But
yes, man.
Question for his royal bareness: how easy was the platinum trophy? Did you get it in your sleep, or while you're taking a nap?
Inquiring minds would like to know.
I will say that the platinum was easier for this one than it was for 2018. I will say that much. I think the thing that took the most time was probably hunting for all the collectible stuff. The Berserker fights weren't really all that hard to me. There was only maybe about 3 that gave me a problem. And that was usually when you were fighting 2 or 3 at the same time. Outside of that, 2018 was the harder one.
Nice.
No problem for his royal bareness, as expected.
Here we go.
Nope, no problem for his royal bareness. The Platinum King.
Whatever, Matt.
Good God. All right, Matt, hit me with your number 4.
My number 4, I'm going to go with The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. And the reason why I pick, before Nintendo fans get upset that I didn't pick, Ocarina of Time, Link to the Past, and Taki, just hold on, okay? But Majora's Mask is it's very unique in my opinion, especially in terms of structure and storytelling. It wasn't the sequel that I think I expected or most people expected, following up from Ocarina of Time, which is a more traditional grand adventure. Majora's Mask, which it's ironic because as a kid when I played it, I didn't fully grasp the themes that they were talking about. I was just fascinated by the gameplay loop because the world ends in 72 hours, so you have to reset time, and things are kind of locked into certain days and times when you're doing your side quests. You can only do them on specific times and dates. So that was a very unique structure for me as a kid. But it was only when I replayed it recently on NSO where I really, really got to sink into the themes that it talks about. And it's really about the process of grief and how people deal with it in a different way. Some people are in full-blown denial. Some people are going YOLO and they want to do everything they can before their time is up. Others are trying to make amends with their relationships, and it's just mind-blowing that this is for a children's console, that they went so hard on a deep theme, and it really hits you in the feels. So I do highly recommend going back to it. I didn't get to play the 3DS version, I don't know if that one is significantly better. I've only played it on N64, on NSO. Either way, yes, some mechanics are a bit jank and dated in terms of the dungeons, but I think it really is worthwhile to check out because the themes are like nothing else in any other Zelda game.
All right. First of all, Ryan Turford from the press pool here. I have a question. Are you actually Seth Sturgill in disguise? Like, can I check your beard to make sure that it's the proper length and you're not just Seth in a trench coat? Seth is also all about your picks tonight, Matt. He's a big fan of yours.
For now. We'll see what happens in the top 3.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
I actually know, speaking of the 3DS version, I know that they did make a bunch of improvements to some of the stuff you're talking about. So I do think that that's probably like the better version to play if someone who's like checking it out for the first time. But that's interesting that you picked you went back to it as an adult and you appreciated it more, because the game I'm going to talk about in a second, I also kind of did that in that way too. So it's kind of cool. Like, maybe at first glance it didn't, resonate with you and it correctly, but like upon replaying it again, you really got into it. So that's cool to hear, man. I love your story. That, but all right, Fulia, next up, number 4.
So my number 4 is a puzzle game by the name of Portal 2.
Okay, I like it.
So I actually started playing this game on my PS3 as a online co-op with a friend back then. And I had no idea what to expect out of it. And it was actually really cool. And then I also went through and played a little bit of the single player mode as well. But I never finished it on the PlayStation. So I ended up picking it up on PC. And I actually played through Portal 2 on PC. And there were times where I was really getting stuck in certain areas, especially the further I got along. And because I was also streaming the game, I actually had chat help me out, which was really helpful. And I was very grateful to them because they were giving me hints like, just go, if you look up or do this. And I'm like, oh, okay, makes sense now. And then I just sort of played through. I loved it. It was so much fun. And the thing is though, see, I never played the first Portal before I played Portal 2. I ended up playing Portal 2 first, which is really weird. But yeah, I love that game, and the fights towards the end and all that. So it was really great. And then I was just sort of wondering what was going on with the whole, the cake is a lie thing. So I did eventually end up playing the first Portal, and I've finished that one as well, and I really enjoyed that. But yeah, Portal 2 was just so good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. The puzzles in that game can be a bit tricky, especially if you haven't played the first one as well, because the first one I think really warms you up to the type of puzzles that do in the second one, because they really expand on that. And then if you want even tougher puzzles, you can play the co-op, which can be really tough because it really relies on like you having 4 portals instead of 2, since you have 2 players, which is also very fun too.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Nice. That's a good pick. I like that a lot. But, all right. My number 4 is a game that I tried as a younger lad. Didn't really get into it because I wasn't as into survival horror games at the time. But it's a game that I have appreciated much more as an adult, and after repeat playing, to the point where this is my favorite survival horror game of all time. And Matt, I already see, is getting his hopes up. It's not a Resident Evil game. It is, in fact, a Silent Hill game. Silent Hill 3 is my favorite Silent Hill game. It's also my favorite survival horror game of all time. The things I love about it, one, I love the way that it actually ties into the first game in so many smart ways, because Silent Hill 2, they tried to make it kind of be its own thing and not really tie into like a lot of the stuff that happened in the original Silent Hill, where Silent Hill 3 was very tied to the first game, which I had a lot of nostalgia for, combined with the fact that it was really inventive. Like, I love how it starts in the mall gets all crazy and becomes like Silent Hillified, and then when you escape the mall and go to Silent Hill, like it's a whole big thing, and you're in this like, hot, like creepy carnival and stuff. Like, as someone who loves horror, I just really love the design of Silent Hill 3 as a game, as well as, the enemy design, level design, everything else. Combined with the fact that it has like a banging soundtrack. I love the music in Silent Hill 3 in particular, like its opening theme song is awesome, as well as a lot of the music throughout the game. And I also love the main character as well, Heather. I think she's awesome. So Silent Hill 3 is such a great game. I really love it. And I know Silent Hill 2 is the one that most of the people who are into Silent Hill are into, but I got to give it to 3. 3 is always kind of like was a game that, wasn't my favorite at the time I played it. It wasn't even my favorite survival horror game, but I love Silent Hill 3 in particular. And I love all the Silent Hill games, but 3 in particular, my favorite of the games. And honestly, my favorite survival horror game of all time. So that's my number 4. Also, oddly enough, no RPGs on this list yet. None.
How can I play this game? I need to play Silent Hill 3 now.
I'm glad you asked, because you have to pay $200 to $300 for the PlayStation 2 version, because that's how much it goes for. Or the alternative is there is a Silent Hill HD collection that came out on the PS3 and the 360, but the translation is awful. And the graphics are messed up, and the gameplay doesn't play right, and it's really honestly one of the worst.
Part is so good.
It's honestly one of the worst ports I've ever played.
Oh boy,
yeah.
Sorry, man.
Okay.
Like I think
There's
that
no
game had like
then.
I think that HD collection had like a 50 on Metacritic. It was not because you would have wanted it to be good because it had Silent Hill 2 and 3 both in it, and they were it was charged as like a discount game too, so it wasn't even a full price game. But yeah, it's sad. And they haven't brought it back in any other way. So sorry. Yeah. Seth actually mentions the reason it's like that is because like they lost the source code for both those games. That's why Silent Hill 2 is getting the full remake instead of just getting ported. And Silent Hill 2 is one of those things where it was exclusive to the PlayStation 2. The other games were ported to other consoles. That was the one that wasn't. So there you go. That's kind of the odd one out. Yep.
Not happening this year.
No, it just means that if whenever you want to play, since you live close, you can just borrow my copy. I have a physical copy of it.
There you go.
You're getting me very excited.
Yeah. All right.
Loophole.
Ron, give me a number 3.
Number 3 is going to be The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. The base game and the expansions, the whole complete collection. Man, I never played 1 or 2, so I ended up watching a YouTube recap of both games before I got into 3. So I was able to kind of get the lore of what I was getting into. But man, Witcher 3 was just great. I know people talk about the janky combat. I was fine with that, but it was everything else that was wrapped around it. That was, I mean, they actually gave side missions like meaning to the point where other RPGs kind of started making their side missions mean something. It's like every single side mission was like a real actual main mission in any other game. It was just, the characters were great. The expansions were fantastic. It's just all around. It's just zero complaints about Witcher 3. Outside that janky combat, it's just everything else was just fantastic. The story, the characters. Yeah, man. If I could go back and play that again without disrupting my backlog, I would jump into it because I love that. I love that world. I love that game.
Well, all you got to do just re-add it to the wheel, and the wheel will pick it eventually. There you go. Also, Sean points out he's pointed out multiple times actually off air, but also points out again, number 1 Ron fan.
I appreciate you, Sean.
Yeah. You're speaking Sean's language. See, Sean and Ron kind of actually rhyme, which is I never noticed until now as well. So that's great.
Oh man.
Respectfully, Ron, respectfully, tell us respectfully. Who did you romance and why was it Triss?
Well, see, this is where things get complicated. See, wait.
No.
I can explain.
No, Ron, you're going down the wrong path.
Ron was in BioWare phase, where you can sit there and romance everybody, and there was no repercussions behind it. I tried this in Witcher 3, and CD Projekt Red showed me real quick that we don't do that here. So by the time I got to the end of the game, I had relations with both Yen and Triss, And I thought I was
course,
going to have trio relations, and they shut that down quickness, and I got set up for the Yoki Doke. And I had neither girl.
Yep. You bet it all on the house one.
Yeah, so they taught me a lesson, and it is a lesson I have followed throughout the rest of the RPGs or any game with romance. Yep. One girl, and that's it. I was going to say,
the Persona games also teach you that same lesson.
Yeah. Yeah, I learned a lesson because of that. I was like, you know what? I'm going to find one girl. I'm just going to stick to her because I don't want to set up for the Yoki Doke again. Yeah. Lesson learned. Fine.
You're also ready. You've now officially like elevated to the point where now you can play like dating sims as well, because dating sims are very much like that as well. They don't let you date everyone.
There's the pseudo runs. Check it out.
No. Yeah, there you go. All right, Matt. Hit me with your number 3.
Oh, all right. So I'm gonna start cheating now, and I cannot stick to 5. Well, okay. Look. In my head, it's 5 games. You might say it's 8. Potatoes.
We want the show to end eventually, Matt.
Okay, so this is one game to me. My third favorite game would be Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 2. I see them as one experience. Yes, they're very different, but Resident Evil 2 for me personally, you know, I'm beyond grateful and so happy to see people in the community checking it out because it is on Game Pass and PS Extra. I know Cwagmire was checking it out, Black Wyver, Yon32. To me, I've never played a game where it's such a unique experience in terms of survival horror where you really can't and should not be trying to kill every single thing in your path, because if you do try to do that, you will run out of bullets and you will run out of healing items. And so the game is teaching you that you can't walk peacefully throughout this game. Like you have to make a choice in terms of not killing something. So you actually have to learn how to juke around zombies. You can't explore every single room, but you can. But it just strikes this excellent balance of risk and reward, right? Like if you start to explore different side areas to gain more weapons and ammo and healing items, you might run into more monsters. But if you want to mainline it, then you might feel like you don't have enough inventory to get through. So it has this really excellent balance of stress. And again, other horror games I've played, it's mostly about sneaking around and hiding, which is great. Like it is, that's scary and stressful in a different way. But Resident Evil 2 just has that perfect balance of, you know, are you going to go for it or not? Like even with inventory management, if you bring your shotgun, your handgun, your flamethrower, these bullets, these healing items, you have no more space to pick up key items that you actually need to progress through the game. So it's actually encouraging you to carry less so that you can pick up the puzzle items. But then if you're carrying less, you don't feel as well equipped, right? Like if you only have one clip of bullets and one handgun, it adds that level of stress. So Resident Evil 2 OG nailed that very well. I feel like the remake also nailed it. It is the game that I don't recommend to people who are new to Resident Evil, just because I do find it a bit difficult in that aspect. Whereas the other Resident Evil games, they are more generous with how much ammo and health they give you. But if you're up for the challenge, I still recommend it. It's just that perfect blend of spooky spooks, cheesy lines, and just that perfect tension of stress in terms of like, am I going to go for it or not? And there's 2 scenarios you get to play, so you get 2 different experiences. But yeah, I love it. I love them both, but one experience.
Of course. They're across console generations, but they're just the same. They're the same, even though they're actually very different games. Ron from the press pool has a question.
Hello, yes, Matt, friend. As many times as you have repurchased the Resident Evil games, do you feel that Capcom owes you a seat on the board?
So Ron is pointing out something that I'm ashamed of and proud of, because I do own Resident Evil 2 on N64, on my GameCube, on my PS2 digitally. I don't know why I have a hard copy for my PS1. Well, now I can actually put it in. I can actually use it. And
but you
then
know there's
have
two different versions of the PS1 version, right? Like one with the DualShock compatibility and one that doesn't.
Ryan, why did you do this? Now the man's going to go buy it.
I don't want his collection to be incomplete, Ron. God.
Thank you, Ryan.
Like, look, do you not see the shelves of stuff behind me?
I'll now have to get that one.
This is another
Yes,
loophole.
Fulia, please write this down. Oh my goodness.
I gotta look for that one. But yeah, I do own multiple copies too of Remake. I did double dip. I'm pretty sure I bought it digitally and I got it physically, collectors, because gotta support the developers. Gotta do it.
Goodness
Gotta do it.
gracious.
Look, that game's really good. Okay, I mean Matt's
Thank you,
on to
Ryan.
something here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean it barely did make my list because that one's like my top 15 is where I put Resident Evil 2. I love it a lot. So, but Fulia,
Yes.
you're number 3.
So this particular game is my most played game, and I think I've mentioned it a couple of times already. And that's Spiritfarer at 58 and a half hours.
Nice.
Most of those hours contributing to the fact that I was trying to find that dang fish to platinum the game.
That, by the way, has still not been found.
Yeah.
Still has not been found.
But you can go back
Yes.
to. Just putting it out there.
I hate the
Yeah.
RNG in this game, but I love the game in general. I love Spiritfarer. It is so wholesome. It is very cozy. There's a lot of you get some life lessons out of it as well, especially with the fact that you have to it's kind of like a grieving process, and it's a way that I feel like for me it hasn't I haven't really mourned too much in my lifetime, but playing through this game it does give me some feels, especially once you have to let go of one of the spirits through the gates when you've done all their quests. So that does make me sad because Stella is there, gives them a great big hug before they go, and then they're out. So it is a wonderful game. I love it. There have been times where I have gone back into it just to play it, just so that I can continue, because it's also a management sim. So you're just in there and you can do all the things that you need to, and it's just so nice and peaceful in the game, to be honest, and I love it so much.
Nice.
Love it so much that you need to platinum.
I want to platinum it, but it won't. It doesn't want to be platinumed.
Patience.
If it makes you
persistence.
If it makes you feel better, Fulia, when I was playing Persona 3 Reload recently, there's a trophy that 80% of people had where it was when you fuse a persona, which is something you get very early on in the game, it triggers the option to be like, oh, well, do you want to change one of these skills while you fuse the personas? It's totally random, but it didn't pop up for me until 82 hours into the game.
What?
Even though it's supposed to just by random chance should have happened within the first 10 hours or whatever of playing the game, but it took till I basically got to the point where I was like, okay, I need to get this dang trophy before I finish this game. So I'm going to just sit here and fuse random personas over and over again until I got it. I think it happened after fusing 80 or something personas together. It was ridiculous. But
I'm gonna be playing Spiritfarer for quite some time.
Yeah, the random trophies, they're a killer. They're awful. But
oh wow.
Nice.
Persistence. Be patient.
Also, I love the fact that even though Matt and Seth have now officially deviated, you are still on the Lockleth train, Fulia. So
Me? Okay.
Yeah, this is what the chat has informed us that you are.
I thought Ron was when I was previously, but now apparently it's me.
No. Well, next up for me, number 3, of course, continuing on the old man video game list, because of course all these games are old because I'm old. This game is the newest game on my list because this game came out on the PlayStation 4, despite the fact that it actually originally came out on the PlayStation 2, but got a remake on the PlayStation 4. And the one that I slot here is in fact the remake because I actually really like the remake a lot. That game is Shadow of the Colossus from Sony, from Team Ico. Of course, this game is literally just a boss rush game where you're killing, 16 colossi that are bigger than the biggest skyscraper in your town, and they've got big hammers and stuff. But what I love about it is just the big epicness of the boss encounters that you encounter. But also, I really just enjoyed exploring the desolate world of Shadow of the Colossus, like taking my horse around and like running through the forest and then seeing these ruins in there, and then wondering myself, like thinking to myself, like, what did the civilization that was here before look like? Like who were the people that were here before this big catastrophe happened? And now there's these big colossi running around. Like, what was the world like before that happened? Like, and you get to learn a little bit about it through some of the lower bits in the game. But then also, like, I love the way that the story goes, because, you know, you're playing as that he doesn't really have a name, but he's trying to bring back the love of his life, who has died somehow. They don't really explain how. And the god Dormu basically, you know, promises that, you know, we'll bring her back from the dead. You just got to kill all these colossi. And as you're killing them, like, it plays this sad music, and it makes you feel guilty for killing the colossi. Like, it makes you sad a little bit that you're killing these, you know, just beasts that are just wandering around, not really bothering anyone. They're just kind of there hanging out. And you're really the only one that's, you know, being, you know, intruding on them. So I love the way that the story twists around that idea, and it's just an all-time classic game for me. I like, from the first time I played it, like, I bawled my eyes out at the end of the game, because it was, you know, it was one of those endings. But it's a game that's just infinitely replayable to me in a lot of ways, and it's just always like it reminds me so much of a lot of NES games that are just infinitely timeless. Yes, it has some janky controls, but, you know, after a couple minutes, you're usually over that with the learning curve. So Shadow of the Colossus, for me, one of my all-time favorites. Yes, Fulia from the press pool. Hello.
I have a quick question. I've watched like the playthrough of this game, and it looks phenomenal. I really do agree. What was one of the colossi that you found the most difficult?
When I found the most difficult, so obviously I think the final Colossi is the most frustrating one, but because of just the way it's designed. So I wouldn't really call that one difficult. In fact, honestly, like, since they're all really big puzzles that you kind of have to solve, none of them are intrinsically difficult, because they're not really like, it's a very different game, because it's not really an action game in a lot of ways. It's more like a platforming puzzle game where you just jab your sword into weak points, essentially, on these enemies, right? So I would say the hardest one is probably, there's this one that's kind of like an underwater eel that you have to fight with, like, electric, you know, spikes out of its back, and trying to figure out what the heck I was supposed to do with that colossi took me forever. So it was definitely a head scratcher. Yeah, so I'm gonna pick that one, the 16th colossi, I think it is. But yeah, I love that game. But anyways, Ron, second favorite game, number 2.
It's gonna be Red Dead Redemption 1.
Yeah.
I love games. At that time, I was still a Rockstar fan. But Red Dead was just a better game than the Grand Theft Autos. It had a good balance between the grittiness and the quirkiness that Rockstar does with their games. But I guess the story was just a lot more, just like I said, just really just gritty compared to the Grand Theft Auto stuff. Of course, he was trying to sit there and redeem himself, but at the same time, it was also kind of a revenge story. So you go through that whole thing of just meeting new people, and you get the hints of what happened in the past. And of course, we didn't know Red Dead 2 was coming at the time, so they did a decent job of trying to show that something happened, or what the complications between certain friendships were. But by the time I got to the end of that game, I was just kind of like, this is fantastic. It's probably the first time that I had an ending where it didn't piss me off in a bad way, but it was one of those things you just get screwed over after all that hard work. But I didn't feel like that took away from the experience. It was just something, I guess, that when you look back at it, you kind of saw it coming and you knew it was going to go in that direction. But at the time, you know, it was still kind of a shock and a surprise. Yeah, that, like I said, that was just a solid game all around. To me, I don't think Rockstar's ever going to probably top that one.
Yeah, I agree.
Did you play the DLC? Did you play the DLC, the zombie one?
Nah, I had moved on once I started and closed the game. I heard the DLCs were pretty fun, but at the time, I was on to something else.
Yep,
it's like a C-rated cheesy zombie game. It's pretty jokes.
It looked like it was kind of like, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like a slap in the face in terms of like the serious storytelling from the first game. But if you're into like cheesy stuff, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. I hate Wild West stuff in the similar way that I hate pirates, but I like Red Dead a lot. I think that game's awesome. So good pick, Ron. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm not going to say its cheeks. I'm not.
It's a good game. It's a good game. Not as good as Red Dead 2 though.
Wrong.
Please.
Ooh, we pushed the button.
Don't make me ban you, Matt. I have the power. Anyway, Matt, number 2.
Okay. Mashing two experiences, 2 games, because it's one experience in my opinion. And that's going to be The Last of Us Part 1 and The Last of Us Part 2, because it is one experience. It is one massive narrative. Okay? So hear me out. I didn't even get to explain it yet. Ron from the press pool, go ahead.
When did The Last of Us get a sequel? What?
Since 2020, since it's been winning awards.
When did that happen?
It's sold.
You're making up games,
share
man.
some pics.
You're making up games.
Share some pics with you. No. I'll share my pics with you. I have lots of clips for you. Just like most Sony ponies, The Last of Us Part 1, The Last of Us Part 2, it just really caught me off guard in terms of how much effort and thought they put into storytelling. Gameplay is fun in both games. It's typical stealth. Not so much combat, but I'd say it's more of like an exploration stealth game. But I think what really stood out is just the fact that they weren't afraid to go places with the storytelling. Even like The Last of Us Part 1. I'm not going to spoil it, but even the ending, it's almost bittersweet with how that game ends, and it could have gone with a more happy route if they wanted to. And then The Last of Us Part 2 continues the exact same experience. And that's why it is my second choice, because it's one cohesive story. The Last of Us Part 2, again, wasn't afraid to go places in terms of storytelling. Gameplay's S tier. Like, you're just wrecking fools in Last of Us Part 2. Like, when you get to just dive into the water, kind of jump out, like you're wrecking fools in that game. It's so much fun. But again, the storytelling was just, it took it to new places. And funny story. So with the Last of Us show, the HBO show that was coming out, was very excited to watch it when season 1 came out, and I thought I told myself I'm gonna get my wife to watch this one with me, but I will show her the game so that she can kind of have a more appreciation for video games, like just a little bit, because the only game that she plays is Animal Crossing, and so I wanted to introduce her just to show her, like, Animal Crossing is great, but there's other types of games out there. So I sat down with her and I said, just watch the opening scene. The Last of Us Part 1, and just watch it. And I played that game like a million times, and it still made me weep. And that was the wrong thing to do, because she looked at me and said, "This is the most depressing thing. Why do you play video games like this? Why on earth would I want to watch a show that's going to be like this? No, thank you." So it actually backfired. So she didn't end up watching it with me. Watched it alone, still enjoyed it. But yeah, The Last of Us, one experience.
Go ahead, Ron.
Matt, you must be stopped. You are cheating, sir.
I
You are
was just going
cheating.
to say, the chat is not responding positively.
You didn't see
Oh my
you didn't
gosh.
see the adding God of War 2018, Ragnarok, 1, 2, 3, Ascension, the Chains of Olympus, and Ghost of Sparta. You're cheating, sir. Stop this mayhem.
Just wait till number 1.
You must choose, and you better not sit there and do the whole Nier series and Dragon Guard. Don't you dare. You must choose one
Come on,
game.
Matt. We need this show to end at some point, so please, please spare us. Right? Or God forbid, there's a chance I might replace your number 1 with Pepsi Man. You're on thin ice. But
There it is.
all right, number 2, Fulia.
Okay, so my number 2 is an all-time great platformer that came with the PS5, and that is Astro's Playroom. Absolutely adore Astro's Playroom. It's a beautiful game. It is well made. It utilizes the DualSense controller so well. Not to mention the fact that it's just like showing it off, essentially. And it's just really cute. Like, who doesn't want to be a cute little, droid running around the different worlds of PlayStation? And even though I've never really played any of the other PlayStation exclusive games, I still understood a lot of the references that was in that game. Like I understood the Uncharted references, the Horizon references, the God of War references. It was really great. It was so much fun. And it's adorable. And the one thing that I loved the most about this game was going into the little the artifact room and just playing around with everything that you've collected, like all the different PlayStations and the peripherals. And for me, it was more of an exploration to see what trophy can I pop in here.
Yeah.
And it was just so cute. And I loved it so much. Yeah, like I need to find the other. I want to play the other Astro games now. I really want to go back and find some of the other Astro games because this was just so much fun and it's very wholesome and I just loved it.
Nice.
It also did get a little challenging too. I still haven't 100%ed it because even though I've platinumed it, once you finish the game, it gives you the speed run part of it. I haven't been able to do the speed run yet.
Okay.
So yeah.
So more difficult, but less difficult than Yoshi's Crafted World. Gotcha. I see where the limits are. Okay. I'm just gonna keep doing that. I'm not sorry. That's a good pick. I like that. I like Astrobot. That's a good pick.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Need a sequel. Really need a sequel.
It's either that or like they should bring Astrobot Rescue Mission over.
Just bring them
really
out.
Cool too. But anyways, my number 2 actually might also be Ron's number 1, but we're gonna find out in a second because I know Ron likes this game a whole lot. My number 2 game came out on the NES. Stars a little band in a blue outfit with a gun arm. And some refer to him as the Blue Bomber. I'm of course talking about Sean Capri, aka Mega Man 3, is my number 2 game, my second favorite game of all time. This is the game that got me into the Mega Man series, but also is honestly, in my opinion, probably the best action platformer I've ever played in my entire life. I love, all the different bosses. One of the coolest things that they do in Mega Man 3 is the fact that not only do you have 8 really awesome robot masters designed specifically for Mega Man 3, but then you also fight all the robot masters from Mega Man 2, but then you have to use the Mega Man 3 powers to take them down. And then I like Wily's Castle is all crazy in this one. But the music is on point with Mega Man 3. It's my favorite soundtrack of all the old Mega Man games. I love the addition of the slide. I think it really changes up the gameplay in a really positive way. And Rush, having Rush like be a character instead of the item numbers from Mega Man 2, I think was a big change. And I honestly just love Mega Man 3 to death. It's similar to Shadow of the Colossus, and this is kind of a theme with the games on my top list. Like, this is a game that's infinitely replayable, where I can just boot it up any afternoon and just have an amazing time with it, to the point where people are probably sick of me live streaming this game and the other game, which is my number 1, because I just play them. This is a type of game I play once every 2 months usually, or once every quarter. I'll play this game to completion. Like I'll beat it in one sitting, because I can usually beat this game in about an hour and 15, hour and a half. So I love Mega Man 3 a lot. It's really good. So
great.
There you go.
Great pick.
Dang.
Yeah. But Ron, give me your number 1 game.
Everybody who knows me already knows what it's going to be. Ghost of Tsushima, the GOAT. There's nothing more I can say. Nothing more I can say that I haven't said about it before. Great characters, great environment. The gameplay was great. The story was just so good. The voice acting was fantastic. I have zero complaints whatsoever about this game. Seth, I see you.
Is it Seth's favorite game of all time now?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it just oh my God, that game was just so fantastic. Just the setups before the fights, the duels were just so good. They just really nailed it. And you could tell they did their homework on it. It was just, like I said, zero complaints on that. That's about as close to a perfect game as it can get for me. Because I'm a little hard on games sometimes, and that one, I can't really find anything to really complain about on that. So yeah, Ghost of Tsushima. That's my GOAT.
Nice. I know Yon32 has it at his number 2. So there you go. You're in good
He
company.
has great taste.
Nice. Matt, what is your number one game of all time? And if you say the whole
Mine.
Nier series, I'm replacing it with Pepsi Man.
I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it, Matt.
I feel like it is.
My number one game, which is one experience that need to be played together, is Nier Replicant alongside Nier Automata because they go along together. And the reason why I love Nier so much is just because
Of 2B.
I feel like no, not 2B. Respectfully.
Of course.
9S?
It's just
Of course.
9S, my man. It's just such a unique experience in terms of you have to do multiple playthroughs. They're really not multiple playthroughs. It's like more like chapters, but by good God.
This is your favorite game of all time. You
Yes.
you tested the waters, Matt. This is official. We've replaced it with Pepsi Man. This is your new favorite game of all time.
Oh God.
I need to play this game.
God. What is
Look at-
happening?
Look how good this game is.
Yep. I need
Yep.
to play this game.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So
Anyways, continue, Matt.
I'm gonna have nightmares from Pepsi, man. Hold on a second.
That's fine because if you have a Pepsi, then this will all go away.
Oh God.
Okay.
Give me a
I'll
Pepsi.
get a Pepsi later. Yeah, I'll get a Pepsi later, and then I'll reset myself.
Oh goodness me.
But no, yeah, I've talked with Ryan about this on the RPG Cave. Like, I really love Nier, just the different perspectives you get from the multiple playthroughs. The story just goes in different places. The soundtrack slaps really hard. But I think what I really enjoyed about Nier was just that was the first game where I put the controller down after rolling credits, and I felt like this is an experience I could not get from a TV show, books, art like this, looking at a portrait. Like, this is art in video games. Like, I've never had that type of experience where it made me really reflect on, the meaning of life, relationships, the fact that a video game could evoke so many different thoughts and feelings. And again, that it could only be done by playing the game over and over again. To me, it was quite the accomplishment. So I truly love Nier Replicant and Nier Automata because they go together. And that's why it is my favorite game of all time. Those are my 5.
Favorite games.
You're welcome.
Games of all time. You
I was
cheater.
going to say they're two different games, but sure, we'll allow it
You
for the
cheater.
sake of time. Fulia, please save us and give us your number one game.
Okay, so I just want to give a quick shout out to a couple of honorable mentions. I loved playing through Final Fantasy 16. It was my first Final Fantasy game, and I really enjoyed that. One that shut up. And no one that would have thought of is another game called Murdered Soul Suspect. I actually enjoyed the story of that game. Yeah.
Okay.
I really enjoyed the story of that game. It was very sort of a detective style type of game with horror elements, which freaked me out. But I managed to get through the whole story, and I actually finished the game. So I was surprised with myself, but I finished it. And the last honorable mention I will make is Power Wash Simulator, because it's so chill. You just jump in and just clean away, and we're good.
Especially because it's got Final Fantasy VII Remake DLC for it, where you clean the Final Fantasy
Oh my
VII
gosh.
Yes,
No,
you
man.
It
can.
does?
No man, calm
It
down.
does. It does.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you knew
Cowboy.
that. Yeah.
Also,
Look at
I think there's one for Tomb Raider as well.
There is one for Tomb Raider as well, but yeah, between that and getting another copy of Resident Evil 2, Matt's just got new games to buy now. Already.
Adding it to my list of favorite games of all time. Power Wash
Oh,
Simulator with Final Fantasy
boy.
VII Remake DLC.
No, your favorite game of all time is Pepsi Man. We determined this.
However, my number one favorite game, which is also my first ever platinum on the PlayStation, and that's Life is Strange True Colors.
Let's go.
I adored that game. I really love a good narrative, story-based, choice-based game. Just being able to walk through a world and just be part of the story, essentially. And, and then find just find the little things around the map and just speaking to all these characters. But what really hooked me in a lot more was also the not just the story, but it was Alex's power of empathy and just the fact that there were moments in this game where you can actually take some of those feelings away from people if they like, especially the anger. But the side effect of that was that you would be the one that takes that feeling and that emotion, and you would be feeling it. And especially when it's like real, like high rage anger, there would be times where you would actually end up doing something really bad because of that. So as of course a lot of choice-based games are, there are consequences to the decisions you make in the game. And I loved it so much. And the fact you can also romance in this game. You can romance the couple of characters.
Yes,
and they don't care which way you go, which is also awesome. And I really love that. So yeah, no, Life is Strange True Colors, my absolute favorite. Yeah, yes.
Oh, so many questions.
I know. Yes, Ron.
Koala, bringing up the fact that you have the power of empathy, why did you not use such power for Atreus in God of War?
Next question.
Next question.
Thank you.
Yes.
Who did you romance? And please don't tell us that you romanced that sleazy dude who was so cheeks with his like blinds.
Wait, hold on. Excuse me.
You romanced him?
Wait. Are you telling me that
the girl's way better? No. Ew, that guy. Ew.
He's not sleazy. How did you really thought he was sleazy?
Matt called him cheeks.
Wow.
His lines were so. He was such a sleazebag.
I am done with Matt today.
I was going to say, Fulia, I respect your choice in whoever you want to romance.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yes.
Oh, Matt.
If you want to romance the sleazy dude, it's fine. It's totally cool.
He's not
actually.
sleazy.
I know he's true.
Koala, we're just here to support you. We just want you to have good men in your life. That's all it is.
We're just trying to be friends.
Yeah.
Friends.
Yeah, we want good men in your life.
Yeah.
They don't sleaze.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Exactly.
Where's Clive when you need him? That's a stand-up guy right there.
Anyways, we have to round up this topic because we got to get to questions at some point, y'all. My favorite game of all time is the most obvious one of all time. Anyone who knows me, who has heard any of my content or watched me stream video games ever, knows my favorite game of all time is Super Metroid on the Super Nintendo, because of course it is, because I am that person. I love Metroid. I love the Metroid series. In fact, 3 of my top 10 games of all time are Metroid games. And it just happened to be the other 2 I just didn't talk about in the top 5. But Super Metroid was a special game for me. It was the game that after I played it for the first time, I knew that I'd just be playing video games. Like video games would always be a part of my life. They would be like the one constant in my life forever. Because that was just an incredible experience. 10-year-old Ryan who picked that game up for the first time and somehow played through it without a guide or any other way of telling me how to get through it. Like, I spent so much time exploring the world of ZBs and trying to find out all the secrets and all the nooks and crannies, to now I've gotten to the point where I have the 100% map memorized in my brain because I've played it so many times. In fact, I kind of want to do it on stream again. It's do like a fun, like 100% full playthrough of the game. Because that's always a very different playthrough than playing through it just with any percent. But Super Metroid is, again, infinite replayable game. I can play it whenever, and it's just comfort food. It's basically like sitting there on a Saturday afternoon watching the Star Wars trilogy to me. Like, that's like the game that I can always, count on, that whenever I'm feeling down or whenever I need to pick me up or whenever I just want to play something that's like the equivalent of mac and cheese, but in video game form. Super Metroid is that game for me.
Nice.
And I love it. So there you go. That's my number 1 game of all time. Best part is, on my list, guys, no RPGs in my top 5.
Surprisingly.
Yeah.
I thought Shining Force was going to be on there at some point.
No,
I thought Shining Force too, yeah.
That's also in my top 10 as well, but not my top 5.
Okay.
But there you go. But let's swing into the carpool because we got a couple community members we got to bring into the car with us. We're going to start with Awesome Dave 1337, who I guess as a question. Isom Dave says, I bet you all know where I'm going with this. And what is the game that is GOAT? I guess we just kind of did that. Why is 2B from Nier Automata the GOAT of all waifus? Also, Final Fantasy VIII is the GOAT of all Final Fantasy games. Just get out of here with that.
Oh, Dave.
Is 2B, I guess, the GOAT of all waifus? Because
no, she's not.
No,
She is
she's not.
in waifu top 100, but no, she's not the top waifu. Not by a long shot.
No,
she's
she's
fine.
yeah, she's fine. She's kind of mean. I mean, there's reasons for it, but she's kind of cold-hearted. I know she's an android, but you know.
I mean, she's also a really annoying boss in the hit MMORPG Final Fantasy 14.
Oh, she's a boss in that game too.
Well, here you go. Matt's in now. Final Fantasy 14 game.
I think we've talked about it before. Like there's the whole Nier rating series, and you fight her, you fight 9S. It's really
Jace in the chat is not wrong.
A2 is better than 2B.
Yeah.
100% Jace.
Not
Thank
wrong.
you, Jace.
Yeah.
Yep. A2 is way better.
Yeah. Well, next question comes to us from HVAC Sparky. Question for the show: if you could go back in time and experience a game for the first time with no previous knowledge of it, what would that game be? I mean, honestly, for me, it's my number one. It's Super Metroid. I would love to just be able to play that game without all this knowledge in my brain and just experience it for the first time. But what about y'all?
Maybe Mass Effect 2. That intro was really, really something else. I've played so many games; it's really hard to nail. But Mass Effect 2, that whole intro was crazy. To experience that for the first time again, just that opening. Yeah, I would love to go back in time and just relive that just for the first time. That was wild.
Nice. I like Jason's submission in the chat. Danganronpa is a really good one. Like I would love to replay that again with no knowledge of where the story goes in that. It would be really cool. But Flia or Matt, did y'all have one for this?
I'm gonna.
I do. It's I feel like Life is Strange: True Colors or Final Fantasy 16 would be one of the ones that I would definitely love to just sort of wipe from my mind and replay. That'd be really cool. Yeah.
BioShock's a good one.
Yeah, Sean, that was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, Matt.
I want to go with Ocarina of Time. Like I've never. That was the first game where I felt like this is such a grand adventure, and I remember finally getting to Hyrule Field and being like, this thing is massive. It's so huge. Like, how am I ever going to get through this? And it's funny looking back at it now when you play games like Batwa and Totki, where it's like, that's an actual massive game. And it's kind of sad. Like now we're at this day and age where it's like, I need a map the size of Totki to be like, this is a big game. Whereas back in the early 90s, I just needed a map like the one in Ocarina of Time to make me feel like this is such a grand, epic adventure with like massive scope. And I don't think I've ever gotten that feeling before ever again, but that was truly special. I want to just do it all over again.
Nice. Next up, we got Bowser, who asks, who is your favorite female protagonist in a video game and why? For me, I mean, it's obvious. It's Samus from Metroid. I love Metroid. In fact, one of my favorite things about Metroid is the fact that, Samus is a woman of few words, but she's such a badass. Like everything that she does is just badassery to the 1000th degree. And I just, I just really enjoy strong female characters. Like Ellen Ripley, for example, is my favorite, female protagonist in a movie. So it only makes sense that the character that was in a lot of ways based off Ellen Ripley in a video game, because the original Metroid was very much inspired by the Alien series. Just it makes sense why Samus kind of lines up as my favorite. But what about you, Fully? I'm interested to hear what you think.
So for me, I mean, Alex is definitely up there from Life is Strange: True Colors. But at the moment, because I've been playing so much of Aiden Chronicle Rising, CJ is actually really cool. She's so positive. She's very bubbly. She's there to help, anyone, especially considering the fact that she's trying to, she's on the hunt for her own thing. Throughout this story. So the fact that she's, being helpful in this town that she's in while she's looking for this thing that she's looking for actually makes her really cool. And she's got her little sights as her weapons, and they're really cool too. And so CJ is awesome. I love CJ.
Nice. Yes. Matt, what about you? Is it 2B? Is it someone else? Is it Claire?
Well, technically, because they're from the same franchise, I want to go with Claire Redfield, Jill Valentine. I'm just joking. I'm not going to
pick
put
one.
two characters together. I'm
Pick one.
joking. I'm picking one. I promise this time. I'm going to go with Clementine from The Walking Dead, the Telltale games. Just her story arc from season 1, the progression she goes through into season 2. Season 3, she's, spoiler, she's not in there quite enough. It's kind of frustrating. But to see where she started off in season 1, which she has to go through the zombie apocalypse with Lee, that's tough choices that you kind of have to make in season 2, and especially in season 4. She kind of takes on a more mentorship role, towards Ron's favorite character from the game, Alvin Jr. Like the fact that she can put up with that child, come on, she's got
facts.
patience,
You
right?
ain't lying.
But no, I adore that series, especially Clementine. She's got a special place in my heart for sure.
That's a really good one. I actually really like the Walking Dead, so I think that's a good pick. But
Good job, Matt.
yeah. Now we have a question from Quaggy. So, how do you eat your leftover pizza? You don't have time to use the toaster oven, or your Etsy created PlayStation branded toaster, which I don't recommend. Sounds messy. Should you really trust a toaster that you found on Etsy? Do you microwave it or eat it cold? And why is the answer always to eat it cold?
No, don't eat it cold.
First of all, Quaggy, what kind of place are you living in where you don't have access to any of their other stuff and you have access to just your microwave or eating it cold? Like, come on, man. Like, be a civilized individual and either eat it cold or put it in the oven. One of those two. Because, the microwave's never the answer. A toaster obviously doesn't make sense because it's a toaster. Like, come on, man. It's clearly it's the oven, or it's cold, or you don't eat your pizza. That's just how I feel about it.
No, it's going in the microwave. I can't have it cold.
Cold pizza's not happening.
No. See, okay, Riley and Jace, I am with you both. Air fryer. Put it in the air fryer. Honestly, it will bring it back to life. That's how good the air fryer will make your pizza. It'll bring it back to life and then some. It is so good. I cannot eat cold pizza ever. I don't care what kind of topping it is. It has to be heated up in some form. And before I had an air fryer, I used to microwave it. And then once it was slightly heated up in the microwave, I would go to my sandwich press and have it, put the thing on open so that it's locked and it doesn't press down onto the cheese or the toppings. So it's just sort of the heat's just hovering. At least it crisps up the base in the sandwich press.
That sounds so complicated.
Wow. It's still good. It's better than eating it cold.
That's too much science and
But the oven is right there for
on.
Just chuck it in the air fryer. And I don't do that. I don't do that anymore. That's what I used to do when I didn't have one. But now that I have an air fryer, that is the S tier way to heat up your pizza.
Okay.
Yeah. I gotta try that.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, cold pizza is a great breakfast, actually, I will say. If you want, breakfast the next morning and you don't feel like cooking something, man, cold pizza hits the spot.
Oh my God.
You don't feel like cooking something, just have cereal.
But you could have cereal, but cold pizza's right there in the fridge.
No, that's okay. Cereal over cold pizza. Yeah.
Yeah.
Negative.
Anyways, our final question comes to us from Kiku, who asks, do you have a game that you consider to be a guilty pleasure? Not good, but you enjoy it anyways. Oh my God. There's so many answers. Someone please talk for me so I can narrow this down between one of 80,000 selections of bad video games that I like.
So I don't think I've played anything that is for me a guilty pleasure, to be honest. I just play games just for the sake of playing them. I don't really have an answer for this one. I'm not quite sure, actually.
La-di-da, koala. Oh, boy.
La-di-da. To be fair, this is what the world, even though we enjoy these games, Flea, the world sometimes doesn't agree with this fact. When I tell people that Zelda 2 is my favorite Zelda game of all time, people don't agree with that. They're like, that's a bad game. And I'm like, you're wrong, because that game is the best.
Cheeks.
Get it.
I mean, I've I don't know, Power Wash Simulator's fun. that's like I played that just to chill out. But it's not bad. Same with Forza Horizon. I play that. It's not bad, but it's fun.
It's bad. The tutorial's
It's
bad.
not bad.
I was
To
waiting for
you.
it.
That you can play your bad game if you want the tutorial. Go ahead. Not for me. Mm-mm.
Oh god.
Yeah. Good God. What about you, Ron or Matt? Do you guys have one?
I wouldn't say it's a bad game. Binary Domain is like super cheesy, but I love that game. That game is great. Like I said, it didn't review very well, and like I said, it is super cheese. But like I said, man, it's just a fun game. That is a fun game.
Okay. Matt, what about you?
It is a guilty pleasure to play the OG Resident Evil 4, especially with the new remake out. Like, why even bother playing that one? I don't know. I still keep playing it. Like, by today's standard, it's pretty dated, right? Like, you have to stop to aim. Like, yeah, it's a pretty dated mechanic. But I still love playing that version just because it is so cheesy, like the lines of dialogue, and some of those lines didn't carry into the remake. So that one's a guilty pleasure. I play it all the time. It's just brings out good memories. I like it.
Okay, nice. Well, here's mine. I actually pulled up video evidence of mine here. This one's for the Sega Saturn. This is a game called Virtual Hydlide, and I don't know if y'all have heard this game before. I'm going to press this button here. See, this is Jim the Knight, and this game runs at 5 frames a second when you're actually playing it, and you stab little things. It's the remake of an NES game, but it's like an infamously horrible game on the Sega Saturn. It's barely playable.
Animations, yeah.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's actually faster to open up the map screen and then move back and forth in the map screen instead of actually moving in the actual environment, because as you can see, turning around corners is an obstacle in this game. It's certainly something. So I have to give a shout out to Virtual Hydlide, which is a game. It's a game that exists, but for some reason I'm just like, yes, please. I could just sit here and play that game all day. But there you go. So that is it for this episode of the PlayStation Drive. But before we go, we got to say thank you to, of course, all of our patrons over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming, starting with our ultimate producers, Tony Baker from the Quest for Pixels podcast. For whatever reason, I always mess up Tony's last name. Apologies, Tony. It's Tony Baker, Quest for Pixels podcast. You can check them out, youtube.com/Quest4Pixels today. Jonathan Brown, the man behind the music on this podcast, but also the Xbox Drive. You can check out all of his music on his link tree, linktr.ee/PME/JIB. We've got Lee Navarro, the fearless leader of the Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life team. You can check them out over at phoenixoverdrive.com. Cwagmire also, who reminds us that the best babes are in fact Xenobabes. Links to all of our ultimate producers can be found in the description of this podcast. Our platinum producer, Robby Bobby Miller, he's got that plat over there. He loves lists as well. And our gold members, Adam K, Anna, Awesome Dave 1337, BobLoblaw, Brad Moore, Brian Reese, Cecily Carrozza, CrocoKyle, Dan and Luma, Dannohh, Emily O'Kelly, Yon32, Marcus O'Neill, Peje EP, and Tim Aulph. So huge thank you once again to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming. If you want to hop in the car with us, head on over there and choose the tier that's right for you. But before we go, Fulia plugs go.
So you can find me and all of my socials and platforms at foolishfuji.card.co. That is card with 2 R's. And you can find everything there.
Nice. Card.
Card.
Nice. Matt, where can people find you?
You can find me on the Discord and Twitter at Nagachaka. Same username for PSN and Xbox, where I'm playing Thirsty Suitors. Everybody's thirsty. Love that game.
Nice. And of course, playing your favorite game of all time, Pepsi Man, as we've determined.
Of course.
Ron, where can people find you?
Savoy Prime everywhere. PlayStation, Xbox, Steam, Backlog, True Trophies, and Savoy_Prime on Twitter.
Nice. As for me, you can find me on the old Twitter at Ryan Turford. You can also find us on Twitter at Carpool Gaming. I was also on the Communication Error podcast. I mentioned it earlier. So you can check that out. I posted a link for that on my Twitter page, and we talked all kinds of PlayStation, including PlayStation VR. So if you're interested in PlayStation, head on over and check out that episode. It's also, again, my birthday on Thursday, so I'm going to be spinning in my chair at work. So if anyone wants to say hello, please say hello to me.
Happy early birthday, Ryan.
Oh, thanks, friend. You can also find us on YouTube, youtube.com/carpoolgaming, of course, podcast services around the globe. So for Ron, Matt, and Fulia, I'm Ryan. This has been the PlayStation Drive, episode 141. Yes, that's a palindrome, folks. And we're out. Good night, everybody.
Adios. Thanks for checking out this week's episode of the PlayStation Drive. Now, before you drive off, please make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and follow us at Carpool Gaming on socials. Don't forget to check out our awesome merch on carpoolgaming.com, and you can also support the show on Patreon at patreon.com/carpoolgaming, where you'll unlock all kinds of exclusive content. Links to everything are in